The Aramaic and Palestinian Targum, Numbers chapter 15. And the Lord spake with Moshe, saying, Speak with the sons of Israel, and say to them, When you have entered into the land of your habitation, which I will give you, and you may make an oblation before the altar, upon the altar before the Lord, burnt offering or consecrated sacrifice, for release of a vow, or by free will offering, or at the time of your feasts you offer what is acceptable to the Lord of the world, to be received with approval before the Lord from the herd or from the flock. Let the man who offers his oblation before the Lord bring a mincher of 1/10 of flour mingled with the 1/4 of hina of olive oil, and wine of grapes for a liberation, the 1/4 of a hina, to be made upon the burnt offering or hallowed sacrifice for one lamb, or for a ram. Let him perform a mincher of 2/10 of flour mingled with the 1/3 of a hin of olive oil, and wine of grapes. Let him offer in a vase for the liberation, the 1/3 of a hin, to be received with acceptance before the Lord. But when he maketh a bullock, a burnt offering, or a sacrifice for release from a vow, or a hallowed sacrifice before the Lord, let him bring for the bullock a mincher of 3/10 of flour mixed with 1/2 of a hin of olive oil, and wine of grapes, 1/2 a hin, for a liberation to be received with acceptance before the Lord. So let him do with each bullock, with each ram, and each lamb, whether it be from the lambs or the kids, according to the number of the bullocks or lambs or goats with which the oblation is made, you shall do, each according to their number. All who are native born in Israel, and not of the sons of the Gentiles, shall so make these liberations, in offering an oblation, to be received with acceptance before the Lord. And when a sojourner who sojourneth with you, or whoever is among you now, or in your generations, will bring an oblation to be received with favour before the Lord, as you do, so shall he. For the whole congregation there is one statute for you and the sojourner who sojourneth. It is an everlasting statute for your generations. As with you, so shall it be with the sojourner before the Lord. One law and one judgment shall be for you and for the sojourner who sojourneth with you. And the Lord spake with Moshe, saying, Speak with the sons of Israel, and say to them, When you have entered the land into which I will bring you, and you eat the bread of the produce of it, not rice, nor millet, nor pulse, you shall set apart a separation before the Lord. Of the first of your dough, 1 cake of 24, you shall set apart as a separation for the priest. And with a separation from the threshing floor, so shall you set it apart. Of the first of your dough, you shall give a separation before the Lord in your generations. Jerusalem, of the first of your dough, you shall give a separation unto the name of the Lord. And should you have erred and not performed one of these commandments which the Lord hath spoken with Moshe, whatsoever the Lord hath commanded you by Moshe from the day he commanded it, and thenceforth unto your generations, if without the knowledge of the congregation sin hath been committed through ignorance, let all the congregation make one young bullock a burnt offering, to be received with acceptance before the Lord, with his mincher and liberation, as are proper, and 1 kid of the goats without mixture for a sin offering. And let the priest make atonement for all the congregation of the sons of Israel, and it shall be forgiven them, for it was an error, and they have brought the oblation and offering before the Lord. Even an offering for their sin have they presented before the Lord for their error. And all the congregation of Israel shall be forgiven before the Lord, and the sojourners who sojourn among them, for an error hath occurred to the people. And if any one man sin through ignorance, let him bring one goat of the year without mixture for a sin offering. And let the priest make atonement for the man who hath erred in sinning through ignorance before the Lord, to atone for him, that it may be forgiven him, as well as the native born to the children of Israel. For the strangers who sojourn among them, there shall be one law for him who transgress through ignorance. But a man who transgress with presumption, whether of the native born or strangers, and who turneth not away from his sin before the Lord, he causeth anger, and that man shall perish from among his people. The primal word which the Lord commanded on Sinai he hath despised, and hath made the commandment of circumcision vain. With destruction in this world shall that man be destroyed. In the world that cometh he shall give account of his sin at the great day of judgment. Jerusalem, because he hath despised the word of the Lord and broken his commandments, that soul shall perish and shall bear his sin. And while the sons of Israel were dwelling in the wilderness, the decree of the Sabbath was known to them, but the punishment for the profanation of the Sabbath was not known. And there arose a man of the house of Joseph, and said with himself, I will go up and pull up wood on the Sabbath day. And witnesses saw it, and told Moshe. And Moshe sought instruction from the presence of the Lord, that he might teach me judgment, and make known the discipline of all the house of Israel. And the witness of the man who pulled up and collected wood came and gave, and after they had admonished him, and he had wounded the witness who had found him pulling up wood. Jerusalem, stealing wood. They brought him to Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation. This is one of 4 judgments which were brought before Moshe the prophet, which he adjudged according to the word of the holy. Of these judgments, some related to money and some to life. In the judgments regarding money, Moshe was prompt, but in those affecting life, he was deliberate. And in each he said, I have not heard, to teach the princes of the future Sanhedrin to be prompt in decisions on mammon, and deliberate in those that involved life, nor to be ashamed to inquire for counsel on what might be difficult. Forasmuch as Moshe the rabbi of Israel himself had need to say, I have not heard. Therefore put they him in confinement, because they have not yet heard the explanation of the judgment they should execute upon him. Jerusalem. This is one of the 4 cases which are written above, on that of the blasphemer, and they who were defiled by the dead, and they put him in ward till the time when it should be plainly shown to them from before the Lord, with what judgment they were to deal with him. And the Lord saith to Moshe, the man shall be surely put to death. The whole congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And the congregation led him forth without the camp, and stoned him with stones, that he died. And the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moshe. And the Lord said unto Moshe, speak with the sons of Israel, and bid them make for themselves fringes, nor of threads, nor of yarns, nor of fibres, But after a manner of their own shall they make them, and shall cut off the heads of their filaments, and suspend by 5 ligatures, 4 in the midst of 3, upon the 4 corners of their garment, in which they enwrap themselves, unto their generations. And they shall put upon the edge of their robes an embroidery of hyacinth. Jerusalem. And let them make to themselves fringes for the edges of their robes throughout their generations, and put upon the fringes of their robes an embroidery of hyacinth. And this shall be to you a precept for fringes, that you may look upon them at the time when you dress yourselves daily, and remember all my commandments to do them, and not go aside to wander after the imaginations of your heart or the sights of your eyes, after which you have gone astray, to the end that you may remember and perform all my precepts, and be holy, like the angels who minister before the Lord your God. I am the Lord your God, who have delivered and brought you free out of the land of Mizraim, to be to you Eloah. I am the Lord your God. This is the end of the reading.